Chapter 10. Anna! Hi, Corey, she whispered shyly, sliding next to him on the front seat. She was wrapped in an old-fashioned lacy gray shawl. Her hair was wild and unbrushed, and her blue eyes sparkled with excitement in the glimmer of the light inside the car. Then she pulled the car door closed, and the light faded. You frightened me, he said, turning to look at her. She gave him an odd smile, almost a devilish smile. Or was it just a dim light? He couldn't see her very well. Why did you call me? What's the matter? She slid closer. She was almost touching him. The wind shifted directions. Leaves blew up against the car windows, making it even darker. Corey, you're the only one who can help me, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. She was trembling slightly as if she was holding back her fear, struggling to keep herself together. You're the only one who talks to me. Where have you been all week? He blurted out. I looked for you. She seemed surprised. She turned and looked to the rear window. It was entirely seamed up. She rubbed the side window next to her with her hand, making a clear peephole. Were you sick? Are you okay? Corey asked. She smiled at him again. I was at your house before, he said. I wanted to talk to you. He realized he must sound crazy to her. The words just poured out. He didn't seem to have any control over what he was saying. He was so glad to see her, so excited. It was exciting that she had called him, that he had come to her in the middle of the night, that they were having this secret meeting. But what was this all about? Why wasn't she answering any of his questions? Are you in trouble? He asked. Is there anything I could do? I was thinking about you this week. Actually, I've been thinking about you ever since that day in the lunchroom. The lunchroom. Why did you have to bring up that horrible occasion up? How embarrassing. Really? She said. I was thinking about you too. She peered out through the small circle that she made on the window. Is someone following you? He asked. Is someone out there? She shook her head. I don't know. Your family said, they told me you were, oh no. Here he was, blurring it out. Why couldn't he control himself? Why was he talking so crazily? He hated being so out of control. As a gymnast, he practiced keeping every muscle in control. Now he couldn't even control his mouth. I just didn't know if you're real, he heard himself saying. The words seemed to surprise her. A smile slowly spread over her face, a sly smile. I'm real, she whispered, staring into his eyes. I'll show you. She reached both hands up suddenly and grabbed the back of his head. Her hands were hot despite the cold of the night. She pulled his face down to hers and pushed her lips against his. Her lips were soft and warm. Her mouth opened a little, then closed. She kissed him harder, still holding his head. He struggled to breathe. She pressed harder, uttering a soft sigh. It was the most exciting kiss, more exciting than in any dream he had ever had. He wanted it to last forever. It appeared that it just might. She kissed him harder. He was startled by how needy she seemed. She gripped the back of his neck and pressed his lips even closer. Corey couldn't believe how lucky he was. Is this really happening to me? He asked himself. He tried to slip his arms around her, but there was no room for her to move from the behind the steering wheel. She kissed him, pushing her lips at his until the kiss really hurt. Then she pulled her mouth away from his. She slid her warm lips across his cheek and up to his ear. He felt her warm, steady breath against his cheek. She whispered something. You're all mine now. Is that what it was? Did he hear her correctly? You're all mine now? No, that couldn't be it. He didn't hear it. Do you believe I'm real now? She asked, her hand still on the back of his neck. He tried to reply, but no sound came out. She laughed, a surprisingly loud laugh that startled them both. They had both been so quiet up till now. The wind shifted. Large brown maple leaves blew hard against the windshield as if trying to break in. Somewhere nearby, an animal howled. She let go of him and settled back in the seat, a pleased expression on her face. He could still feel her lips on his, still taste her, still feel the pressure of her face against his. They didn't say anything for what seemed a long, long while. Finally, he broke the silence. Why'd you call me, Anna? He didn't really want her to answer. What he wanted was for her to kiss him again like that, and again, and again. You sounded so frightened, he said, reaching for her hand but not finding it. She smiled at him, this time a guilty smile. I just wanted to see if you'd come, she said. She looked away. She started rubbing a fresh peephole in the window. You weren't in trouble? She didn't look at him. I knew you'd come, she said. I just knew it. He stared at the back of her head, at her golden hair which fell in long tangles over the gray shawl. He wanted to kiss her again. He wanted to wrap his arms around her. He wanted to feel her hands on the back of his neck again. He reached out and put a hand on her shoulder. That's why you called? You just wanted me to come here? She turned around, her face expressionless. She looked at him but didn't say anything. When I was at your house, a guy answered the door. He had to ask her about it. He just had to. He knew she was real now, so why did her family say she was dead? My brother, Brad, she answered, still expressionless. She stared straight ahead at the clouded windshield. When I asked for you, he got real upset. He said you didn't live there. Brad would say anything, she whispered, still staring straight ahead at the fog windshield. But he... Please, don't make me tell you about Brad. He's unpredictable. Don't make me say it anymore. Just stay out of his way. He can be dangerous. Her whole body shook when she said that word. He told me you were dead, Corey blurted out. For a brief second, her eyes grew wide with surprise. Then she pulled the door handle, pushed open the door, and jumped out of the car. Corey made a grab for her, but she was already gone. He threw open his door and climbed out. The wind blew a clump of leaves onto the legs of his jeans. Anna! He called to her, but he knew he hadn't shouted loudly enough to be heard over the wind. He started to run after her, but she disappeared into the darkness. Anna! He called one more time, but she was gone. The wind seemed to grow stronger. The tree limbs above his head rattled like bones as stray leaves circled and spun at his feet. He tasted blood on his lips. He was filled with longing to understand her, longing to know why she had run away, why she wouldn't answer his questions, why she was so terrified of her brother, longing for more kisses. He was only a few feet from the car when something big and powerful leapt onto his shoulders from behind.